from Western North Carolina's news leader. This is News 13 at 11.
Breaking right now, just within the past 15 minutes, we're getting a first look at the school bus crash in Mcdowell County that sent more than a dozen people to the hospital. That bus went over an embankment just before 9 o'clock.
Our crew just arrived on the scene at the site of the crash. We want to take you right out there to them.
And News 13 Stephanie Sanastasi joining us live right now. And Stephanie, what have you learned?
Well, we have learned that this crash happened just before 9 o'clock this evening. We are on NC 226. It's also called Cox's Creek Mountain up here in Mcdowell County. As you can probably see, crews are still on scene. And if you look, that bus, that is what slid down the embankment just before 9 o'clock. Right now, officials aren't saying how it happened, but you can see it wedged between trees. It took the bark off some of the trees, and they said that they had 14 people on that bus, some of which included students. Right now, officials aren't confirming where those students went to school, but we are told 14 people were taken from that bus. They were able to extract them all in about 60 minutes and take them to area hospitals. The good thing about this tonight, there are no threatening injuries. Everyone is in stable condition.
It's a miracle that someone was not seriously injured or critically injured tonight. Very blessed.
And again, William Keller there, the emergency director here in Mcdowell County. Crews were out here on scene right after it happened, and they say that they're going to remain here most of the night. Here, NC 226, it's going to be closed through the night. They have rerouted traffic in both directions. Right now, they are also trying to still continue their investigation, see how that bus went down there. And also, they're going to have to work to get the bus lifted from the embankment, which will take several hours and go on until the morning. Again, you can probably see flashlights there through the distance. It might be hard to see, but we're trying to zoom in as best we can. Those are firefighters that are down there right now looking for any other evidence they can find, any clues to help them in this investigation. We will continue to provide updates for you here and online, and we will continue following this story. But for now, we're live in Mcdowell County. Stephanie Sanastasi, News 13.
Developing tonight, drivers can now get through US 1974 at Nantahala Gorge.
The NCDOT reopened the road just a few hours ago. News 13's Caitlin Penter was there when the first driver went through.
Since US 1974 opened back up, there's been a steady flow of cars. Up until that point, it's been a waiting game for most of the day.
I do have the Drive NC Gov app open, checking for updates, and the last one said 8 p.m. So we'll see.
People in Nantahala Gorge waited for 2 days to get back on the main road.
I mean, you can go around through Franklin and come around. It's a long way around, but it's a little bit of pain.
All day, NCDOT crews worked non-stop to get the road back open, shoveling out debris and hauling it out one dump truck after the other.
You had Graham and Cherokee counties working from the west, and you had Jackson and Swain crews working from the east.
Then less than 48 hours after the landslides, NCDOT workers got it open.
It's not the finishing details, but it's a lot of the details that will allow traffic to just simply get through instead of taking the long detour.
Cars streamed through. The wait is over.
Landslide party. We're going to do mudslides.
A team of engineers from 5 different agencies will be out tomorrow assessing the damage and creating a plan going forward. In Nantahala Gorge, Caitlin Penter, News 13.
This is not the first time saturated soil is given way along the steep slope of the Nantahala River Gorge. And along with all the rain, Saturday's slides likely had some help from another force of nature. News 13's Frank Crocker explains.
Mud, rock, trees, and other debris came tumbling down. Where heavy downpours fell over the weekend, the opposite happened 3 years ago. Flames were the problem in the gorge that summer. Trees and underbrush burned, all that ground cover gone.
Most likely as a contributing factor, the Boteler fires that we had in 2016 killed a lot of trees, and those trees fell in these streams.
This is one of the sites that we were looking at in Macon County.
Jennifer Bauer is principal geologist for Appalachian Landslide Consultants.
So this is the moderately burned area.
Her company is part of a state study of wildfires and landslides, mapping burn sites, gathering data on their relationship. But the work here also draws on what happens thousands of miles away. The dry season out west, 58,000 separate wildfires last year, almost 9 million acres. The ground scorched solid, virtually impenetrable. The rainy season follows, days of torrential downpours. High water headed downhill with nothing to stop it.
The severity of the fire is really important, and the root strength. And here we have rainfall way more frequently in many cases, so that our vegetation comes back way faster, and that might play a role in there being fewer landslides triggered in burned areas.
Bauer says determining that correlation with certainty is still a work in progress. It's a study that's scheduled for completion by the end of next month. But what happened in the Nantahala River Gorge on Saturday may change that deadline with fresh data to gather, perhaps a better idea of whether wildfires made this bad situation even worse. Frank Crocker, News 13.
More rain coming for the mountains. Chief Meteorologist Jason Boyer joining us right now. And Jason, we're tracking some more showers that are possible for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, these showers are coming in now to the mountains, Frank, and it's likely they'll stick around into the morning hours. That will complicate the commute to work or school. And you can see that rain is darker green on the radar down to the south of us into northern Georgia. That is where the heavier showers reside, well south of Ahseville down here. But this activity will continue to make its march off to the north and east. It's a slow process to get everything through, so several hours of rain chances in the forecast. And you can see the temperatures have cooled into the 60s. And that's where most of the rain is falling now. Valleytown over to Macon County and Franklin down through Otto and Cullowhee, and you'll get it in Silva here shortly. In the last 12 hours, it hasn't added up to much when it started falling a few hours ago. So far about a quarter inch or less in those areas south. But I certainly think most of that rain is going to fall farther south and west of Ahseville when it comes to the overall totals. Your activities planner in the morning, 60s, 70s by lunch hour. Notice the rain chances dropping throughout the day down to only 20% as we get into late evening tomorrow with temperatures mostly in the 60s by then. It's going to be another cooler than average day, and the chances of rain will remain even into Wednesday. I'll show you how high they go and what that weekend is looking like. Of course, it's a big and important weekend. It's a holiday weekend coming up. Stick around.
New information tonight about a fatal accident in Rutherford County. It happened this morning at the intersection of Brooks Road and Whiteside Road. Officials say a driver failed to stop at a stop sign and collided with James Coffey of Bostic.
Coffey was not wearing a seatbelt and was ejected from the vehicle. He died at the scene. The crash is still under investigation.
A 62-year-old man is charged with murder after a fatal stabbing this weekend in Asheville. Truett Nichols is accused of killing Regina Hoagland along the Swannanoa River. Canton police arrested him at the home he shared with Hoagland. Today, dive crews searched the river for evidence. Police say a witness called in the stabbing after hearing screams.
An Asheville man will get life without parole for the murder of a co-worker. Derek Pendergraft pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and sexual abuse in the death of Sarah Ellis in July of last year. The two worked together at the Pisgah Inn on the Blue Ridge Parkway. The U.S. Attorney says Pendergraft strangled Ellis during a sexual assault. He will be formally sentenced at a later date.
The American Idol bus hits the Carolinas. Coming up, a local man finally gets his chance to stardom. The long road that led him to this moment.
But first, proposed road changes raising concerns for neighbors. Next, what they plan to do about the Charlotte Street road diet.
New tonight, a neighborhood taking matters into its own hands as the city waits for final approval on the Charlotte Street Road Diet project.
But some neighbors are not on board. As News 13 Stephanie Santastasi reports, they're worried the changes could threaten personal safety and property.
The traffic's constant along Charlotte Street.
Unfortunately, I believe this is becoming the new Merriman.
Cheryl Stein just moved to the neighborhood.
In Asheville about a year.
She's always on the lookout for cars.
Yes, this is the dog people try to run over.
When walking her pup, Kyla.
All right, let's go. Quick, quick, quick. All right, girl, we made it.
For years, the city's trying to make changes on Charlotte Street. Right now, 2 lanes run in each direction from Chestnut Street to Edwin Place. The city's new proposal would change that to 1 lane in each direction, plus a middle turning lane and a bike lane on either side.
I'm afraid that whether it's 3 lanes, 2 lanes, or any other configuration, people still seem to want to get to where they're going in a hurry.
The city hopes work on Charlotte Street will begin this fall, but neighbors like Sydney Bach say not so fast.
Before you expose people and their property to a dangerous condition, especially with their own money, using their own money, I think you should at least do a study.
Bach's a part of the Grove Park Sunset Mountain Neighborhood Association.
We're still waiting to hear from the city.
The group is planning an independent traffic study of Charlotte Street.
We would underwrite and out of our own pockets pay.
Bach says they just want to see what it would show and determine if the city's road diet proposal is the best option here.
So that's where we are.
A neighborhood effort in hopes of fixing Charlotte Street for good.
If anything, I'm scared that it might actually add to the road issues.
Well, it's feeling more like autumn than summer right now.
Jason, are these cooler temperatures expected to stick around?
A little longer, 1 more day in fact, and then we'll start to get back to more of that typical summer pattern, and it will play into your weekend too. I'll show you that in just a minute. But the August high temperatures have been, well, earlier consistent, now inconsistent when it comes to how warm they've been for the most part this month. 19 days above average for the month, and now just most recently 3 days of some cooler temperatures. How much rain? That's a big question. I'll show you how much, and when we get back to those 80s, plus a couple of storms in the tropics, I'll show you which one is more worrisome than the other.
Tonight, as students get settled back in at school, teacher advocates are fighting for more teacher funding. The North Carolina Association of Educators says the proposal to give taxpayers refunds is taking money from our educators. Lawmakers say they have a $900 million surplus. They're proposing each resident get a tax refund. But the NCAE argues that money should go to schools desperate for funding.
And they shouldn't have to. You know, the supplies that we use in our classrooms, notebooks, pencils, staplers, all of that, we pay taxes that should be invested into our classrooms for the supply money.
The publication Insider recently looked into where teachers are spending the most on supplies. Earlier this month, North Carolina was ranked 17th in the country.
Well, could the 8th time be the charm? That's what an upstate man is hoping for with his latest run to become an American Idol.
When we first met and we're laughing at that lady.
That's Brian Garner of Greenville and his original song, Silly Things. Nothing silly about his audition results today. He's going through to the next round. He says this is the 8th time he's tried for the singing competition. The 3rd time he's gotten a golden ticket. His best result came with American Idol's debut here on ABC.
I get to meet the 3 of them and sing for them. Got 1 yes from Lionel Richie, got no's from the others, but it's not going to be that way this year, man.
He says since then, he's gotten more comfortable as a performer. He's also written a few more songs, and he thinks this could be his year.
We'll be in Knoxville on Thursday as the bus tour continues through the Southeast. If you plan on going, let us know. Email news@WLOS.com. We want to follow your journey.
Now, your News 13 Skywatch weather.
A lot of green showing up on the radar, and that is an indication it is raining in many places, but not everywhere. You can see some of those showers trying to creep into Buncombe County right now. And this is a composite view of the radar, so it's looking through the cloud layers and taking the highest reflectivity it can and plotting it. So it may not necessarily be raining everywhere you see green, but the idea is that moisture is in the area, and it's coming down in those areas like Jackson County and Macon County, over Swain County too. Gatlinburg, up 441, some decent shower activity. This is going to hang around, but it's not going to be enough to cause really any flooding concerns. Just nuisance rain in most cases. Tyson Furniture Bus Stop forecast begins in the 60s in the morning. I think our greatest risk for rain is the morning, and as the day wears on, I think we're going to drop that chance of rain gradually by late afternoon in the mid 70s, and still a lot of clouds hanging around through then too. So it is going to be a cooler than average day once again. Watch the Futurecast. Again, this is a model simulation of what the atmosphere could do across the western Carolinas the next 24 to 48 hours. A lot of showers tonight, and then in the morning, still some showers around, and then in the afternoon, early on showers, and then we start to move them out, and it looks like quieter weather will prevail the second half of your Tuesday, so not a washout by any means tomorrow. The clouds will be thick, and then on Wednesday we could have another round of some showers, especially for our neighbors west of Ahseville. And as we get into the late afternoon, we start to dry out and we'll clear out into the overnight Wednesday. Some brisk winds kicking up behind that system on Wednesday night into early Thursday, but it is going to mean sunshine for us into Thursday. This is the most recent model update of how much rain could fall. And look at Ahseville here, not even a quarter inch expected with this model. You go west, it goes up incrementally and even a lot more in our southern mountain zone. So in the Swain, Macon, Jackson, Graham counties, you're expected to get at least a half an inch, if not more. Now we turn to the tropics. We have a tropical depression that's sitting off the coast of North Carolina, but look at this. It doesn't get to the U.S. mainland, thankfully. It does eventually affect eastern Canada into the weekend. Dorian, though, is the big story. This is likely to become a hurricane sometime in the next couple of days, and it will certainly impact places like Puerto Rico over time. So a lot to watch in the tropics right now. 60s for lows tonight in the mountains. Look for 70s for highs tomorrow. Some 80s are possible in the far western zones. Our temperatures certainly staying in the 70s tomorrow, but 80s return, and those 80s will be around for quite a while into the holiday weekend. In fact, mid-80s Friday and Saturday. Those will be the pick days of the next 7 days.
The prep football season kicked off Friday. On Mondays, we have our top 5 plays at 6, and at 11, we pare it down to the best of the best. And we had a lot of great games with some great plays, but one was above the rest. Chris Womack gives us number 1.
Our first top play of the week belongs to the East Rutherford Cavaliers. On the road at West Henderson after a Falcons touchdown, T.J. Watkins fields the kickoff on a hop, plants his foot in the dirt, and see you later, leaves everyone in the dust. A 77-yard TD return gives the Cavs the third quarter lead, but West would roar back for a 56-42 barn-burning win.
And you can check out the rest of the top 5 plays on WLS.com. Click on sports. We're also on Friday Night Rivals on My 40. We're going to have East Henderson at North Henderson. That's at 7 o'clock. Well, Asheville tourists starting their final homestand of the season, but they hope they'll be back at McCormick Field for the playoffs. Tourists with a game lead over Augusta as we head to the last 8 games of the season. Tonight, T's hosting Charleston, Augusta in Greenville. Well, Charleston beat Asheville, Augusta beat Greenville, so Asheville and Augusta tied for first with 7 games to go. Braves in Colorado, Major League Baseball's weird scheduling brain freeze, making up a game snowed out in April. Scoreless in the 4th, Matt Joyce base hit. Here comes Freddie Freeman. Here comes the throw. He slides. The umpire says, you are out. But on the replay, it says you are actually should be safe. So why have replay? He was safe. It doesn't make any sense. 1-1 in the 9th, Jerry Blevins to former Asheville tourist Ryan McMahon. He hits a laser shot. That baby's gone over the yellow line. A walk-off, 2-run homer. Braves fall 3-1. That snaps an 8-game win streak. They now lead Idle Washington by 5.5 games. And the college football season kicks off for almost everyone this weekend. The Tar Heels begin play in Charlotte against South Carolina. Mack Brown returning to college coaching, starting a freshman quarterback, Sam Howell. That's the first time a freshman's ever started as quarterback at Carolina, an opener.
Now back to that breaking news in Mcdowell County. Over a dozen people transported to the hospital after a school bus goes over an embankment.
News 13's Stephanie Santostasi joins us now live with new information. Stephanie?
Hey, Darcel and Frank, just want to say sorry it's a little bit loud right now, but wrecker crews have actually gotten to the scene right now and they're trying to get that bus out. But I want to tell you the information I just confirmed from McDowell director William Keller. He tells me that the students on that bus were from Thomas Jefferson Classical Academy. Those were the students that were aboard that bus. Let me show you though what's happening. I'll try to talk as loud as I can. Right now crews are trying to cut the tree limbs that are blocking the bus right now, and then what crews plan to do, we're actually on a side access road right off of the highway. crews have decided that it's easier for them to bring that bus down into this access road and pull it down instead of trying to bring it up and over the embankment that it came from. So that's what crews are working on doing. They have just reopened that road since they have decided they're going to be pulling the bus down this way instead of over like they originally had planned. But again, we are going to keep covering this here and giving you continuing coverage. And again, just as I had confirmed, that information from William Keller, the students aboard that bus from Thomas Jefferson Classical Academy. That information just into our newsroom. We're here live in Mcdowell County. Stephanie Stanastasi, back to you.
Now, as Stephanie mentioned, we will continue to follow this story on air and online. Plus, we will have continuing coverage on our morning show starting at 4:30 a.m.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Remember, you can always check us out at WLOS.com.
And be sure to find us on Facebook and Twitter.